A long time ago, I made a promise to a certain pony, specifically a pony leader. She was racked in agony and on the edge of death. She needed to rest for a long, long time if she was ever to have a chance of recovery. So she asked me to make a promise. She asked me to impersonate her, to become her alternate, to guide her subjects and protect him until she was fit to return. I was hungry, so hungry and lonely. I thought I had nothing to lose, so I accepted her request. A long time ago, I made a promise that changed my life. The pony leader was cunning. She would outsmart the leaders of my kind. She gave me her memories, telling me to easily replace her, but those memories were not my own, and they hold me to her will. Up to this very moment, I'm still trying to sort them out, hoping that she will take her cursed touch away from me when she returns. Honestly, she needn't have bothered to bind me to my duty. She tempted me with food, but knew that in time I would come to see her ponies as more than a food source. Indeed, she was right. I am loved, and I love them. 1,000 years have passed. I played my part. I acted flawlessly. If there was an audience, they would have given me a standing ovation. I guided them through trials and tribulations, paving the way for the ponies with the help of their affection. But all things must change. Recently, the utopia I've built is under siege. The threats are manageable. Equestria stands behind me. Even the dreams of my ponies are safe, and when things seemed at their worst, no threat has ever been too great for my knights. They are honest, loyal, kind, funny, generous, and faithful, so very faithful. But none of them know I am merely an alternate, a stand-in, a fake. My allies, and especially one of my most powerful and recently acquired ones, have come very close to discovering the truth. The time draws near for me to reveal myself to them, to drop my mask. I only hope I have the courage to do so. Pray that they'll understand, and wish for them to forgive me. My trials began long ago, but the day everything bit me on the flank began when I was informed of an event that I usually love attending. A wedding. Weddings are special to me. It is not like a first kiss, the birth of a child, or the consummation of marriage. Not that I have ever experienced any of those, of course. There's no new love born, no lust or passion set aflame. Instead, there is a pact of sorts, an affirmation. Yes, marriage is the ultimate affirmation to love one another to the end of their days. I love attending weddings. I have presided over many and been a guest at a few. Whatever wedding, though, rich or poor, whatever role I have played in the ceremony or the relationship, I have enjoyed them all. So imagine my reaction when I was told by my niece, whom I have personally taken care of, would be getting married. Captain Shiny Armor, what makes you think I'll let you marry my ward and my adopted niece? I asked, giving the white unicorn stein withering gaze. To his credit, Shiny Armor stood firm against my glare, but then again, I did hoof-pick on to be Captain Royal Guard. He may not have had the sheer magical powers my failed student, but I could not have a more resolute, more capable guard captain. But Auntie Celestia, protested Cadence. Momentarily I ignored my niece, much as it pained me to do so. Cadence is more daughter to me than niece. I had presided over her parents' marriage, been at their birth when they had died in an accident. I had made her my ward and taken her under my wing. She had grown up to become a beautiful princess. No, Cadence. Well, Captain? I demanded. Shiny Armor stood firm as scrutiny, though I had to suppress a snore as I felt the fear flowing from him.
Your Highness, I love Cadence with all my heart and with every fiber in my body. I would go to the end of the world for her and do anything she commands of me.
His head lowered, and I felt a little sorry for him as he continued.
I know I don't deserve some pony as wonderful as she, but I can't imagine myself being with any pony else.
I arched an eyebrow, and I couldn't hold myself back anymore. I knew better than any pony that his love was sincere. Shiny Armor was utterly stunned when I let out a giggle and then burst into laughter. Cadence frowned and sighed, being familiar with my tactic. Auntie, did you really have to do that? Asked my niece disapprovingly, but now smiling. I nodded, still laughing. He is as tight as twilight. I cannot resist, I snorted.
Wait, what is going on?
Asked Shiny Armor. I stopped laughing and looked Shiny Armor and Cadence in their eyes. I must have been smiling wider than when I attended the national dessert competition before Pinkie Pie devoured the cake. Captain Shiny Armor, you're hereby given permission to wed my ward, Princess Miyamura Cadenza. I wish you both all happiness in Equestria, I said, feeling the happiest I had in days. Shiny Armor and Cadence burst in wide grins. The Pegasus unicorn actually flew up to my throat and embraced me, her love invigorating my spirit and coursing like fire through my veins. Thank you so much, Auntie Celestia. Will you preside over our wedding? Whispered Cadence tearfully. I would love to. evening. I think I had a spring in my step while cantering through the halls of Camelot because the castle staff looked happier than usual. It was that or the rumors of the upcoming royal wedding had spread faster via word of mouth than I had anticipated. Perhaps it was both. "Sister, you seem happier than usual. May we know the cause?" Spoke a formal voice. I turned to see Princess Luna regarding me with a curious glance. I smiled a little, caught off guard, but quite happy. "My niece and Captain Shiny Armor are getting married and presiding over their wedding," I replied gleefully. Luna's eyes popped out for a moment. "You have a niece? Who did thou marry when we were gone?" demanded the Princess of the Night. I blinked and shook my head, remembering Luna tended to take things rather literally. "You remember Cadence, right? She's my ward. I adopted her after her parents died," I explained. Luna nodded in recognition and frowned. "Princess Mia Mora Cadenza? But won't she outlive Shining Armor?" "Cadence is a Pegasus unicorn, not an alicorn like us, sister," I explained, making doubly sure that none of the words sounded alien on my tongue. My smile brightened as I made my way back to my chambers. "Now I'm off to celebrate, before I have to deal with the press." I paused, noticing Luna seeming a little forlorn. "Would you like to join me?" "Well, Lulu, how's the night court?" I asked. We were relaxing on the cushions in my chambers. A bottle of some of my finest wine had been set out with some cheese and crackers. "Our court was busier than usual. We suspect that our good reception at Ponyville's Nightmare Night was helped to improve our image among the other ponies." She took a sip out of her glass before setting it down to nuzzle my cheek. "Thank you for mentioning it to me, Tia." I nuzzled back. Years of practice allowed me to make it appear more natural, though I felt a pang of wretchedness at my deception. Luna was such a dear. I just wish she was my real sister. Shaking the thoughts out of my head, I took a final sip of my glass and put it back on the tray. "Well, I better start drinking. At this rate, I'll be intoxicated," I chuckled. Luna glanced at me curiously. "Sister, since when did we get intoxicated?" inquired the Night Princess. I blinked and searched the muddled memories in my addled head, trying to remember what I did wrong. "Since when?" I frowned. Parties whizzed through my mind, giving way to past banquets and then feasts of far-gone time. Suddenly, as I browsed over a particular recollection, I realized my slip-up. "You're right. Give me another bottle. It's been so long since I've indulged in my stock." I knew I was going to regret this later, but better regret later than let my disguise fall. Luna grinned and poured me another glass, which we clinked and then lifted in preparation to drink. It was then I noticed a bizarre feeling, one I hadn't felt in a long time. It was something at the back of my head, nudging my conscience, growing louder and louder. I thought it was the alcohol, but just then I did something no pony should do when they're drinking. I realized what that nagging feeling was. Immediately, I was filled with panic that I hadn't felt since before Discord escaped. This fear paralyzed me while I was drinking and caused me to momentarily choke. "Sister, are you alright?" asked Luna. It went down too fast," I coughed, wiping my lips with my napkin. It took all my willpower to stop myself from trembling, but I was doing a good job of scurrying it. Luna seemed merely concerned with my choking. "Sorry, Luna. I just remembered that organizing a royal wedding is probably going to require me to do some paperwork and a little appeasing," I sighed. Luna nodded understanding, and after a final nuzzle, we said our goodbyes. When I was sure that Luna had left my chambers, I hastily scrawled out 2 messages and sent them with my magic.
Celestia's chambers.
2 white unicorn stallions stood sharply at my attention, waiting for my commands. One, despite his rather handsome looks, was sometimes regarded as a sarcastic brat. In reality, he was one of the most ponies I trusted the most, and his looks actually reflected his heart, something rather rare for most ponies. The other was Shining Armor, and he was understandably confused.
"Your Highness, why did you summon me and Prince Blueblood here?"
asked my captain. Blueblood looked as aloof as ever, but I could see that telltale flick in his tail that showed his curiosity. "Nephew, Captain, there's a situation. I've recently become aware of a possible threat to Equestria, most likely during the royal wedding. Shining Armor, I need the royal guard on high alert, but keep this as low profile as possible. Also, I need you to put your best shield. I'm sorry to ask this of you before your wedding, but this is utmost necessity." Shining Armor did not ask any questions and merely saluted.
"As you wish, Your Highness."
"If you have any questions, nephew, you know you may always ask them," I said with a smile. Said my captain before I dismissed him and turned to my nephew, who was frowning. Blueblood nodded.
"Auntie, How did you become aware of this threat to Equestria?
Asked my nephew warily. I chuckled. Blue blood, trust me as you always have. I have ways to acquire knowledge beyond your role in the nobility, I explained. My nephew, perceptive as always, though he's always acted like a dandy, glared at me.
Auntie, you're more scared of this threat than you're letting on. Why would you intrude on Shiny Armor's marriage to ask him to put a shield up?
Inquired Blue blood. I sighed. There was just no hiding from that stallion. Then again, I had raised him ever since his family fortune was lost in a fire. I will tell you, Blue blood, someday, but for now I need to ask you to trust me as you always have. I need you to form a group to go through the government records, compile a list of every pony citizen without a birth certificate and immigration record, and look for any irregularities, ponies that went missing and then miraculously returned, ponies that have appeared in one place, then they were proven to be somewhere else.
Wait, are you saying our enemy is replacing impersonating ponies? Who or what exactly are we up against?
Demanded Blue blood. Momentarily, I turned to look over Canterlot and all the ponies walking below blissfully unaware of the threat to this country. I have an idea of who is involved, but I'm not sure if they are a threat. They haven't been for a long while, and this is merely a contingency for if they do become a threat, I said as I turned back to my annoyed nephew. He sighed and nodded before making his way to the door. How's Romana, by the way? I asked. Blue blood, despite his attempts to stop it, blushed.
We are keeping a relationship under wraps. I wish I could just be open with it and stop having to put on my act, as usual, but I do not want to settle down while I'm still useful to you.
I rolled my eyes, ruffled my nephew's slicked back hair, and nuzzled him. There is a lodge. I sometimes use it when I want to get away from court life. A lovely little place on the far side of Mount Cantor. The keys and the map will be sent to you tomorrow. I strongly advise you to bring guests, I whispered. Blue blood smiled widely and trotted off. When he had left, I turned to my large gold-leaf cheval mirror and did something I hadn't done for a long time. I dropped my disguise, letting the mask I put on fall, and stared at my true self. For, if my biological instincts were to be trusted, I would be seeing a monarch very soon, and I must be prepared for the sight. I needed to be prepared for the sight of a fully ascended changeling queen, not some exiled runt, I whispered to the empty room.